for this project, I'm going to be creating a garland replicated from Joann fabrics, and we're using these stars I got from Joann fabrics, as well as some beads and some twine. And I'm also going to be using some of these wood pieces from Dollar Tree. So I just simply drilled a hole through the wood birch pieces, and then I also drilled a hole through the stars. And that was pretty tricky, but you want to use a drill bit that is obviously smaller than the width of the star. Or this isn't focusing. But yeah, you guys kind of get the picture, and you want to be very careful not to drill your hand or finger, because you very well could if you're not being careful. So I first started in the corner where the two sides would meet. I carefully would lightly drill just to get the hole started. Once I was comfortable, I was able to push a little bit harder, but again, you need to be extremely careful. And if you don't feel comfortable doing this project, I recommend not doing it then. They do sell a garland very, very similar at Joann Fabrics. They might be gone by now. I don't know. I would definitely check them out. I think they're about $20, $25 for the garland. For me, personally, that was a bit pricey. I paid about $6, well, not even $6, maybe $4 for the pack of stars. You get 10 of them. And I already had these beads on hand, but I think I paid about $4 for a 6-foot strand of beads, of the bigger ones that I'm using. And then I also had used this twine that was from Dollar Tree, and then the birch pieces were from Dollar Tree as well. I only used about 7 pieces of the birch pieces. So all in all, I maybe spent around, well, I already had the beads on hand. I maybe spent maybe $9, $10, I would say, like at most, to make this garland, which is half the price of what it would cost. So to me, it was a pretty good deal. But yeah, as you can see with the star, I had to flip it over and start at the point to get this drill bit to go all the way through the star. It was very hard. That's what I was saying about it being pretty difficult. So alright, imagine you guys get the picture. So now we're going to string on the stars, the beads, and the birch pieces, little birch wood pieces. I kind of got stuck here where you can see I'm trying to pull this twine through that hole. It was kind of difficult, to be honest. I think I ended up switching twine to get like a thinner twine because it kept bunching up at the tip of the star. Another great tip is to use some Mod Podge and twist the end of the twine, and that will dry probably in like 10 minutes or so. Probably not even that long, but it'll dry and be pretty hard, almost acting as like a needle, and you can just take that into the twine and push it through the hole like pretty easy, I would say. So my original plan was to use those big beads, but I wanted to go ahead and add these smaller ones because I have a whole bunch of the smaller ones and I didn't have enough of the big beads. So I end up doing like a small to large situation with the beads. Then I would add a star. Then I'd add more of the beads, if you guys get my drift. But as I was going along, I made sure that the stars were facing outwards. Like you can tell here, I have like the point, and then it goes small to large, and then a birch piece, then large to small, and then it's like the corner of the star, and then to the point. I hope that makes sense, but I did it in a strategic pattern. Here is the finished piece. I ended up having a lot of stars. So towards the middle, this is the middle, I have 2 stars and did it like followed my pattern. Once I got to this star, I did little to big, put a star, little to big. Then I reversed it, big to little, star, big to little, star, so that the middle was even. Then I just tied off a couple large loops on either end of the garland, so I was able to hang it up. And this is where I chose to hang it up, was right into the window in my living room. I thought it was a really nice touch to the curtains and everything. It kind of brought that Christmassy, neutral vibe that I wanted. Alright, that was the highlight of the video. I'm just telling you there. So this project was from Dollar Tree project. I bought this little Christmas tree and it had this like silver garland kind of like put around it to make up the tree. But I really bought it for the form, the little plastic form underneath it. So I just found the end of the silver garland and I just simply took it apart and unraveled it from the Christmas tree. You can either dispose of your garland or wrap it up and save it for future purposes. You could also gift it to someone, or use it as garland because it is a long piece of garland. Okay, the next thing from Dollar Tree I picked up was this microfiber cloth in the automobile section. And as you can tell, we're basically going to be gluing this onto the tree form and create our own little white fluffy tree. I hot glued the edge of the rag, we'll just call it a rag or cloth, whatever you want to call this. Hot glued that down and then I cut out the shape of the tree and then hot glued the rest of it all the way around the form. Alright, once that was done, you could obviously leave it like this. And this is like finishing up the project. It's just like a nice little faux, like a short faux fur Christmas tree, and we only paid $2. But I actually had some of these cool little rustic stars that I got from Joann Fabrics. I think if this was like $1 or something like that for this little pick of rusted stars. I took one of them off of the wire and then I end up hot gluing that down in the middle and the top middle. That way it has a little rustic moment to this piece. You see it? Now you don't. Alright, we're moving on to the next project. But before I get started, I wanted to light my I can't even talk! My gingerbread candle I got from Michael's. So I'm just use this little torch and light it. Oh, it smells wonderful. Just put this over here. Over here. Alright, for this project, we're going to need some of these styrofoam balls. I picked up a pack of 8 of them from Hobby Lobby for around $2. Picked up 3 packs. And then you're going to need a pack of skewers from Dollar Tree. And you'll just take those skewers and poke them into the styrofoam balls like this. You want to do this with all of your styrofoam balls. And then the next thing we're going to need is some sheetrock joint compound. You could also get the, what is it? Dollar Tree sells it. Oh, it's spackle. You could get some spackle from Dollar Tree in the little container of it, and you can use that as well. So I'm first going to show you here how I'm going to be letting these dry. So I have this styrofoam like cube thing, not cube, whatever. It's a block of foam. I'm going to be poking each and every one of the ends of these into that for it to dry. So I need to get some gloves on and we're going to take this joint compound. I'm only using this because I had it on hand. It needs to be used up. And we might as well use it, right? And the reason we're doing this, we're putting this all over the ball, the styrofoam ball, is because I want to paint it. And I feel like the paint is still going to show all these little pieces of where the styrofoam was compressed and put together. And I want to more or less smooth this out. So I'm just grabbing a handful and rubbing this all over the ball every single place. When we're all done, we're going to go back through and do a light sanding. Make sure you get those, I don't want to say edges, the middle where you see that line where the styrofoam's compressed together. Balls have dried, and I did a quick little sanding moment. It has a little bit of texture, which is totally fine. Now I'm going to paint them. I'm going to use this paint, pour it in this. Alright, so this is how I mixed up the paint and got a really nice, really pretty neutral color for these beads. It kind of looks scary with the pink and the yellow, but when you mix it in, it's like a nice cream. Then I added some of this baking soda just to get a little bit more texture on these balls. Then I went to town and just painted them with the paint. This was enough paint to paint all 18 of them. And then after I let them sit and dry, I took them all off the stick. I actually ended up poking the stick all the way through, then taking a needle with some twine and poking it all the way through the ball. Then I was able to just string them together like this. Once I had all of them on the string, then I took some of this rope from Dollar Tree and I lined it up so it was like perfectly even. So this is just one full thing. I think it was the 9 feet version, not the 13 feet. And I just folded it so it was all even. Then I went through with some scissors and I cut everything. So I'm basically just making these cute little tassels on the ends of the beads. So again, making sure it was even, I had 4 on each side, 4 of the strands. Then I took the leftover twine on the end of the beads and I just tied a loop just to tie the I guess the tassel securely to the beads. So once that was tied, I was then ready to unravel each individual piece of rope. Had like 3 pieces to each one, and that just kind of made it look a lot nicer. I liked the texture it kind of gave, this like curly effect. I don't know what you want to call that, curly. I don't know, it looked really neat though. Alright, then once I was done unraveling every piece, then I went back in with some more twine, and I just tied a pretty, like, good amount, maybe like an inch and a half to maybe an inch of thickness of twine around the top part of the tassel, and then with the leftover twine, I took a needle, pushed it in backwards with like the fish eye, and then I pulled that through and just secured it off. Repeated this step on the same side, and here we are with the finished product. Love these extra large beads, and they're very lightweight, so you could hang them on the wall if you wanted to. All right, moving on to this project, we're going to need 100% silicone. I have my silicone gun ready with my silicone, and we're going to need any type of vase. These are from Dollar Tree. So you can get the silicone from Dollar Tree. You don't have to use this if you don't have a silicone gun. You can also just get the one that's in a little tube, and you can squeeze it out with your hand. So I'm going to cut this off, and we're going to get started. So as you can tell, we are making a textured vase or vase, whatever you want to say. Okay. So I'm just taking the silicone and I'm taking it pretty liberally all over the vase, just randomly up and down. And then once I'm all done kind of covering the vase, I'm going to take a damp cloth, washcloth, or like a sponge or something like that, and just kind of go over and spread out the silicone. I recommend it being damp because it's easier to move and glide it around. If you use a dry one, it won't work as well. And then once you're happy with how it looks, you can go ahead and set that to the side and let it dry and move on to the next vase. I did about 10 different vases, and these were all gifts for my family. So I just wanted to create a really nice, fun, textured vase for something different for everybody, every family. And yeah, I hope that you guys give this a try. It's super simple to do. It does get a little bit messy. Okay, so if you get that silicone all over your hands, if you're not wearing gloves, and you get that on your hands, and you try to wash it with soap and water, it's not going to come off. I recommend, here's a tip, because it's a little hack that I figured out myself. If you have it all over your hands and they're sticky, and you just tried washing them and they're still sticky, you want to go ahead and just put lotion all over your hands. Just use regular schmegular lotion and lather your hands, lather them up with the lotion. Then give them a quick rinse. Then go in with soap and water, and trust me, it'll come right off your hands. You're welcome. Okay, so again, I'm showing you different types of vases and whatnot. So after the silicone has dried on there for about 24 hours, then we can move on to the next step. Alright, I wanted to show you a couple of the vases. You can see that they have like these lines that are going across because of the way I pulled that silicone with the rag. This one has more of like a sponge textured effect because of me just kind of dabbing with the rag. This one's super random. This one's also has that dabbing effect. So you can see here, I started painting them, and I just used some house white paint. Like, you want to use thicker paint when you do this, because the acrylic paint just won't cover all these vases. I'm just showing you, like, you could leave it like this, but I'm not going to, but it does give this really cool effect. Alright, let me show you. So to get this color, I just squeezed in a little bit of this Dollar Tree's yellow color. Then I had mixed in a little bit of this coral, like peachy pink color, a dot of gray, and then a whole bunch of white from here. Like a lot more white than the other colors, obviously. Mixed them together and made this really pretty light, neutral, like peachy tone. As you can see, compared to the white, it's not stark white. It's like this off peachy white. I think it'll go nice in anyone's home, any home decor style. This color is really, really nice. Now I might go back through with a darker color to highlight some of these ridges and things, and just kind of smear the paint all over just to really highlight those, highlight the textured pieces that we just did. And inside this paint, I also mixed half of it with this baking soda just to kind of give that textured effect, and then that will go right on top of our texture we already did with the clear silicone that's already dried. Obviously that took about a day to dry on all of these vases, and it's kind of rubbery to the texture, like when you feel it. So I do recommend adding in the baking soda into your paint mixture, just because the paint, as you can see, this one back here actually has no baking soda in it. So the paint is like separating, which does leave a really cool texture. So you could totally leave it like this. Sorry about the little hairs all over this, got stuck to it. And then you can tell here, these are the ones I added the baking soda. So it gives even more texture and more coverage. So yeah. All right, so this is what it's looking like so far. Here is another coat of a different color on these vases. And this is how these ones are turning out. This one I kind of went over with just a little bit of a different color to give that texture a bit more definition. Same with the one behind it here. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how they're turning out. Okay, so I went back through and repainted them. I didn't really care too much for that peach color. I know I liked it in the beginning, but when the light hit it, it looked so peachy. You can see in the inside of this jar here where see how that peach color. So I kind of just went over it randomly with some of this white. And it's kind of an off-white. It has like a slight greenish tint to the white. You can't really see on camera, but I think it looks so much better. And I think that this color will go a lot better in a neutral home, or really with any home decor style. It could go with boho, farmhouse, industrial, eclectic, I mean, whatever. So I think this will be a bit better when I give these to my family. So right now they're all drying with this color, and this should be my last coat for these vases, and they are going to be done. Alright, and then this is what I end up doing with those leftover boards that I never showed you guys in a previous video. I end up just writing Christ our Savior is born, and I'm going to gift these to each family for Christmas. Thought they would like this as decor. And again, this can be Christmas decor or just regular decor. That's why I did it in neutral colors.